Israeli-born actress and producer is slamming woke celebrities she accuses of spreading Hamas propaganda. Let's bring in the author of Israel, a simple guide to the most misunderstood country on earth. Noah Tishby joins us. Noah, welcome.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
I want to play something from John Oliver on HBO talking about this, latest flare of violence.
This isn't tit for tat. There is a massive imbalance when it comes to the two sides' weaponry and capabilities. While most of the rockets aimed toward Israeli citizens this week were intercepted, Israel's airstrikes were not. They hit their target.
This is a very complex dispute. There's no doubt about that. But why do you think there are so many in Hollywood who are taking the position that Israel is in the wrong on this?
Well, there are a lot of reasons for that, but to John Oliver, I would say that Israel uses rockets to protect its civilians, and Hamas uses its rocket to protect the population. I mean, you use the population to protect the rockets. It's very difficult for people to understand that we're actually dealing with an enemy who does things like that. And I don't know why, but for some reason in the past few years, and that's why I wrote the book, Israel landed smack in the middle of a cancel culture. And it's shocking to me, considering it's the single consistent democracy in the Middle East. Absolutely shocking.
Well, people do see the reports and the pictures of grieving Palestinian families who've lost children, who've lost family members. We know that those casualties are happening. And so it seems that many folks in the Hollywood and beyond the entertainment world are latching onto that and saying, look at these people. These are innocent civilians who are being hurt, who are being killed as well. And why shouldn't we be worried about what happens to them as well?
We absolutely should be worried about them, and that's the whole thing. If you want to be pro-Israeli, it doesn't negate being pro-Palestinian. What we need to do is actually, instead of bashing Israel consistently, find ways to empower the Palestinians. It's heartbreaking what's happening to them, and they are under siege. They're under siege by a terrorist organization, by Hamas. Israel wants to find a solution for that. History had proven that. Hamas is a terrorist organization that does not want this conflict to be resolved. Absolutely not.
You have signed on to a letter along with about 125 other celebrities who say, listen, this is not that simplistic. You can't boil this down. It says we call on our colleagues and friends in the entertainment community to stop posting misinformation and one-sided narratives that only work to inflame the conflict instead of bringing about peace. And it sounds like this letter across the board, you got a lot of folks to sign on to say, listen, let's take a breath and let's recognize that this is not something that can be boiled down to a meme.
Absolutely. As a part of this cancel culture, it turned into a meme. Memes cannot replace morals. This is absolutely unacceptable. And that's what this letter says, and what I say on my social media and what I say in the book. If you don't have your history, if you don't have your facts, better keep quiet. It's not that simple, and there are actual consequences to misspeaking about this conflict.
Were you surprised that there was a lot of pressure on another very well-known Israeli actress, Gal Gadot, who, was under a lot of pressure early on to make some statement about this? And it sounded like a very measured response from my first reading of it, saying we have to worry about all the people in the region, Israelis, Palestinians. We need this to end for the safety of the civilians there. And she was blasted by a lot of folks. Were you surprised by that?
I wasn't surprised at all. Gal is amazing. She's doing so much for world peace, really, on both sides. And to be honest, right now, whatever it is that you say, you're gonna get slammed. So I think it's important, at least for me and for her and for other people that are actually speaking up, to stand up for what is right, to be on the right side of history, and then get yourself educated on what has been going on. And I really hope the entertainment community would come to the table and realize that they have been misled throughout this entire conflict. It's really problematic. I've been seeing this happening for a very long time. It's why I wrote this book. It's hard for people to understand that we're actually dealing with a terrorist organization. I mean, this is something that you hear over and over again, but it's not internalized in the entertainment community, and I hope this changes. That's why we all signed on to this letter. That's why we're speaking up. That's why we're trying to rally the entertainment community. Maybe you've seen the blue square on social media right now. Jews count. Who thought we need to say this in 2021? But I guess we do. And this whole anti-Zionist rhetoric has been taking root in the progressive left wing of the Democratic Party in a way that's very concerning. And it was very obvious to quite a few of us that this is, if not overt anti-Semitism, certainly will lead to anti-Semitism. And this is what's happening right now. I was a block away from that attack in Los Angeles as it was going down. It's mortifying.
And people have to be just across the board in condemning that kind of violence against any of our fellow Americans or people who happen to be in this country. I think it's very important the president has made clear there is a big distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people, and it's one we need to keep making.
Absolutely.
Noah, great to meet you tonight. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.